Focus, Use the Power of Targeted Thinking to Get More Done is a very practical and inspiring book about improving focus and increasing influence. Jurgen Wolff, an author, director, and creative thinking coach, shares many valuable insights on how to develop focus and achieve success in this book. The book offers a range of strategies, techniques, and exercises that can help readers overcome distractions and develop the ability to focus more effectively. At the heart of concentration is the idea that concentration is a skill that can be nurtured and developed in a variety of ways and means. The book covers many practical tips such as time management, setting goals, establishing good work habits, and how to deal with distractions and temptations. More importantly, through the case studies and stories in the book, Jurgen Wolff shows how these skills can be applied in real life and have a positive impact on personal and professional careers. He provides a comprehensive approach to help readers achieve focus while also being able to increase their influence and success. The book also explores the different types of focus and introduces a framework called Finding Your Focus Pattern to help readers understand their own focusing tendencies and preferences. By understanding their focus patterns, readers can more effectively utilize their strengths and find the focus methods that work best for them. 01. The Law of 8. How do we find our focus? Should we take all external information seriously? Is every piece of external information valuable? The author tells us that as long as you put more time and energy to focus on some of the things you are already doing, you have the ability to completely change your life. You can accomplish more things, earn more money, enjoy more success, which requires us to use the law of 2-8. 1. 80/20ths Law. What is the law of 80/20ths? Its core idea is that 80% of your earnings or value actually comes from only 20% of your efforts. That is to say, not everything can bring us value in a certain specific field. If we divide all the information into 100, the real can play a role in about 20%. So we don't have to select all the information, we just have to focus on the most important 20%. For example, many people can verify this phenomenon. Out of an 8-hour workday, it's likely that only 1.5 hours of work will actually pay off that 20%. That's the 20%. This is likely to include making decisions about developing a new product or service, creating new priorities or goals, mentoring others, etc. The other 80% may include things like making decisions about the development of a new product or service, creating new priorities or goals, or mentoring others. The remaining 80% may consist of lower value activities, such as sorting mail, attending meetings that don't concern you as a matter of courtesy, doing small but urgent things, turning down salespeople who sell you products or services that aren't right for you, or answering casual phone calls that don't concern you as much as your job does. But then, at a critical moment, you may be inspired to do something about the project. That is to say, if you want to make something happen, 20% of all relevant factors are the most positive, and the other 80% are like green leaves to accompany it. Secondly, the negative 80/20ths Law. In our personal lives, sometimes what we do in 20% of the time or less causes 80% of our unhappiness. For example, someone who spends very little time arguing with his or her spouse may be the cause of a lot of unhappiness in the future. Naturally, we should minimize rather than increase the 20% of negative behaviors. So, in most cases, the best strategy is to do things that bring us positive results, so that negativity has no place. People who lead truly productive, happy lives often lose interest in the negative behaviors they once indulged in. The law of 8 seems to make sense, but one of the biggest problems with it is that it is hindsight. Let's say I'm an advertiser and I want to place ads on different platforms. After the fact, I realize that only 20% of the ad placements are useful. But which 20% of the advertising platforms are really useful to me is something I realize only after the fact. Therefore, the law of 2-8 cannot be a real guide to our life. So how can we better integrate the law of 8 with our lives? 2. Setting goals. We know that we need to spend more time on the 20% of things, because we cannot 100% of our efforts are not wasted, so we need to enhance the hit rate through a number of techniques. First, utilize the SMART principle. So how do you set a meaningful goal? Wolff proposed a SMART principle. The first letter S is specific, clear. Secondly, M, measurable, means measurable. Once it becomes concrete, the way you measure whether or not you're achieving your goals is often self-evident. If it's about weight, you'll use a scale or a fat monitor. If it's about money, your bank account will make it clear. In fact, your ability to measure your goals is the best test of whether you are specific enough. If you can't measure your goals, then go back and readjust your goals. Next, there is A, attainable, which means obtainable, and R, realistic, which means realistic. The meaning of these two words is relatively close to each other, that is, you can achieve that goal. For example, if I want to set a goal, I want to make a movie. I'm not even in the movie industry, so this is a relatively difficult goal to achieve. Why? It's not up to you to make a movie, it takes a lot of investment, it takes a big movie company, and you don't even know the people in your circle. But if you are a novelist, you write a novel, and then find a way through the circle of friends in the relationship sold to a film and television company, so that the film and television company to write a script based on your novel, this thing is more or less you can do. That is to say, there are some things in this world we can do, some things cannot be done. If you can't do it, don't think about it. It's a total waste of your time and not worth your attention. Finally, T is timely, which means that the goal should not be too far away in time. For example, if you need to learn Japanese, you must set a specific time for yourself. For example, what level do I need to reach in 2 years, and what level can I pass in 3? This is a time limit for the goal, which allows you to focus on a problem in a relatively limited time period. It is also important to note that this time limit cannot be set indefinitely, because we may face some unpredictable factors. Secondly, the big goal is broken down into smaller goals. Do not become a giant in planning and a dwarf in action. If you like to do some detailed plans, forms, flowcharts, mind maps, etc., we suggest you consider doing less planning and focus more on achieving your goals. It's simply not realistic to set up a 5-year plan that is unchanging, and you need to be prepared to pay attention to all the clues to better direction that may appear during the course of the plan, whether it's about where you're going or how you're going to get there. For example, if you have to write an essay, it feels so hard. But if you break it down into 3 steps and complete it in stages, it will be much easier. For example, take a day to think about what topics you like, which ones are easier for you to write about, which ones have value, and so on. At this point, you need to decide how many sections you want to write in. Then spend the next day gathering the information, references, and data you need. Finally, it's time to start writing, starting with an opening statement. Each day you will complete a small task, and each day you will receive positive feedback for completing a small task, so that you will not find it too stressful and difficult after the goal has been disassembled. Next, the hero's journey. You have to see yourself as a hero and the process of solving problems as a hero's journey. That is to say, you have to find the inner motivation to do this thing. For example, your daily work in the company is a simple report. If you feel that it is meaningless to do this thing, then you will generate negative emotions, you may not be in the mood to do it well. But if you think that I have helped my boss to get $10 million profit by doing the report, you are praised by your boss. Your whole job will be full of great fun. Keeping the fun in the work is helpful in keeping everyone focused for the long haul. Finally, the goal map. We humans are ultimately visual creatures, so if something can be seen by our eyes, we will understand it in our minds. For example, if you want to set a goal for yourself, you want to learn Italian. The goal itself can be illustrated as the Italian flag, the Italian Colosseum, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, etc. Then you can put a picture next to the goal, and then you can see it in your mind's eye. Then you draw a number of arrows next to the goal, and next to the arrows you say what means you will use to achieve the goal. Whenever you reach a small goal, you tear the small icon off the board or put a small red flag on it. In this way, you can feel that you are moving towards such a goal through an illustrative method. 02. How to defeat procrastination. Procrastination is the natural enemy of concentration. When we procrastinate, we do all sorts of things, but we just don't do the things we realize we need to do. Procrastination equal everything belongs to tomorrow. Procrastination equal consciously or habitually put off doing things. Procrastination is not simply laziness. Because lazy people don't do anything and feel good about it, while procrastinators have the desire to actually do something, but just can't muster up enough willpower. So we need to summon up our willpower. How do we do that? 1. Positive image method. Oftentimes we give ourselves the mental image that we are just a bad procrastinator and feel bad about ourselves. The author says, do not think so, you have to give yourself a positive image. For example, you are writing an article and it seems to be very difficult to write. You imagine, if this article can be published in a high-level publication, after you get the feeling of joy, your confidence will rise. 2. Cracking down one by one. If you encounter a large number of tasks in front of you, do not know which one you should do first and then which one, you can use these 3 methods to help you. The first method is called the Puritan approach. That is, you have a lot of tasks, A, B, C, D, E, you pick the most difficult to do. Life should be bitter before it is sweet, so you should do the hard things before the easy ones. But on the other hand, if you are a hedonist, you can do it the other way around. I can do the easy ones first and then the hard ones. In this way, I can feel the process of climbing up the ladder of life from the low level to the high level. The third method is called the gambler's method. Write down all the tasks into a number and make a small strip of paper. Then throw, catch high, catch what is what. This can also be 3. Time staggering method. Then, if you encounter a lot of tasks in front of you, see so many tasks feel crushed, thus causing procrastination, there is a psychological skill. That is, you find ways to stagger the time of such a task. For example, we have to finish a book reading by 8 p.m. tonight, but a partner wants me to share how to read a book. I can stagger these 2 tasks. We can schedule the sharing with my partner for 9 p.m. The purpose of this is to reduce my stress. 03. How to realize self-focus. In this book, the author also introduces us to the tools of how to focus, to help us realize the focus. 1. Filter useless information. We know how to set a small goal, but how do we follow the law of 2 or 8 to focus on the core information in the process of realizing the goal? How to filter out the useless information? First, physical isolation. A lot of boring information comes from pure physical noise. Pure physical noise is similar to when you are working, someone is talking loudly next to you. These purely physical sense of the noise will seriously affect your work efficiency. So how to improve it? Buy a 3M vacuum earmuffs, can greatly reduce the decibel of those noises. Secondly, the 3D principle. This will involve 3 links. The first link is a document management, the second link is the management of mail or circle of friends information, the third link is the management of the meeting. The first D is delete, is to delete it, the second is called delegate, is to delegate, the third is do. Delete means that if the email you see has nothing to do with your work, just ignore it and delete it. Delegate means to delegate. There are some things that you seem to have to do, but you think it's a bit of a killjoy if you ask me to do it. What should I do? For example, you're the HR manager and you need to hire an administrative receptionist, but you have a more important interview at this time. This time, you can delegate this matter to the recruitment specialist. Third, do, that is, this work is very important, but this thing can only be done by you. 2. The use of second personality. Many people have used all these methods, but after using these methods, they still find it difficult to convince themselves to do something consistently over a long period of time. I always lack the mental energy and collapse in the middle of a task. Is there any other way? It is to utilize the second personality for self-management. What does second personality mean? This involves a very important theory in psychology, which is called multiple personality theory. Everyone has his or her own personality orientation. Some people are more introverted, some are more extroverted. However, as long as we do more observation, we will find that there is actually another side of each person, so everyone is a high degree of synthesis of many personalities. For example, in the movie The King's Speech, George V., who was a stutterer, was actually cured of his stutter. However, when he talked about formal documents, he could not speak, but he had no problem singing. In short, the multiple personality theory is a theory that tells us that we have the potential to create a deeper self that is different from our shallow self. If you can realize this potential, you can create your own supervisor to manage your attention. For example, if you go to the supermarket and you have a list of 20 things to buy, and you end up buying 100 things because you think it's good, and then you fill up the basket. If you have this problem, that means you make decisions too quickly, and you need a backlash against quick decisions. So you have to imagine yourself as a Mr. Bookkeeper. You think about who in your life is particularly strict in managing the accounts. There must be such a person. 04. How to develop creativity. Creativity is very important for the attraction of advanced concentration, so that you can see things that others cannot see. So how to cultivate this creativity? This book actually puts forward a lot of skills. It gives 30 kinds of cultivation of creativity tips. We summarize the summary of 3 points. 1. Enhance the ability to add white space. What does white space mean? White space itself is to give us room for imagination. We can do self-explanatory. For example, you go to buy a deduction novel to put at home, you can start reading from the back, and then backward to the front of what is the case. Then you think, are my thoughts the same as the author's thoughts? Then you can start reading from the beginning again, and the author has opened his mind in this place. This will train your creativity and imagination. 2. Borrowing observations. When your own brain power is exhausted, see if you can borrow someone else's brain power. You can do a psychological experiment. You throw $10 on the ground, and then hide in the corner. Then look around you to see who will pick up the $10. Or will they pick up the $10 and put it down? Or do they just ignore the $10? You can do a good psychological test. Some people's sudden behavior will give you a big brainwave that some people are concerned about the $10 in this way. Because you don't know how other people manage their attention to the $10. 3. Meditative thinking. Empty yourself and think meditatively. When Steve Jobs was alive, he used this method, and when he couldn't think straight, he traveled to India and used this meditative thinking. We can also fill up a teacup and look at the tea leaves, up and down, and then think of anything that comes to mind, and then write it down with a pen. You are facing some new work ideas, the need for whimsy, then usually you have to set aside a certain amount of time to carry out this kind of thinking training. In this way, when facing new tasks, your concentration may be moved to an unexpected turn, which can give your work a great harvest. Tailor your focusing strategies. Does knowing what you should be focusing on mean that you can actually stay focused? The answer is no. There are many unexpected events that can interrupt us in both work and life. Often it is not that we don't want to focus, but that some patterns of dealing with trivial emergencies prevent us from staying focused. For example, we are too embarrassed to say no, we procrastinate because we are overworked, and we take on too many tasks because we don't trust our colleagues. At this point, you need to develop some strategies to keep yourself focused. Strategy 1. Refuse or minimize things that are not conducive to achieving your goals. The word refuse is a word that needs to be used carefully in the workplace. If you use it well, people will say you are smart. If you use it poorly, people will say you are lazy. Therefore, most people are used to saying yes rather than no. In fact, there is only one principle to follow when refusing, and that is whether or not the task has contributed to the achievement of one's goal. If it does, then yes. Strategy 2. Learn to assign tasks appropriately. Give your subordinates or co-workers the opportunity to grow and get in touch with new tasks. If you have doubts about their abilities, you can act as a coach to export methods and ideas to them. That is, let yourself on the work of the task to summarize the chain to form a scientific and reasonable method output to colleagues, but also let colleagues to take over and complete the work of quality, 2 birds with 1 stone. Strategy 3, learn to take breaks. For example, take a short lunch break, work for an hour and then go for a 10-minute walk in the garden downstairs. A combination of work and rest can help you quickly repair your tired brain cells and eye cells. Charge your batteries for 10 minutes, and you'll be 100% energized. Finally, use tools to strengthen your concentration. The right tools can help us get twice the result with half the effort in maintaining concentration. Recommended tool number 1, the Eisenhower Matrix. The value of this tool does not lie in categorizing all things according to the dimensions of importance and urgency, but in solving the problem of why do we always have so many important and urgent things, and not to put off important and non-urgent things to the state of urgency. Recommended tool 2, to-do list. Set daily tasks according to the length of time, and sort them according to the importance. For example, the goal of this week is to output a marketing plan. Then set 2 hours a day to work around this goal to ensure that there is output every day. Recommended tool 3, time capsule. This tool can be used in conjunction with a to-do list. When entering a task, set a time capsule for yourself. Inside the time capsule, all external interference is rejected until the countdown timer sounds. In the world of ordinary people, we don't have any grand plans or lofty goals to achieve. More often than not, we just want to be good at what we do and do what we do well. Staying focused allows us to be more efficient. Staying focused allows us to release more energy to invest in more valuable and meaningful things. Maybe one day you'll realize that everything is moving toward your goals and that everything is just fine. Overall, Concentration is a practical and in-depth book that provides a wealth of tools and resources to help readers overcome concentration problems, become more productive, and achieve greater success and impact in their personal and professional lives. If you are interested in focus and personal growth, this book is definitely worth reading.